you everyone for joining us today. I'm here with Laura Archer, and she is the director of the film The Pit. So thank you. Thank you for being here today.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you for choosing the festival.
Yeah, no, it was my pleasure. I was going through Film Freeway and I was looking for women's film festivals basically. So
Oh,
yeah.
excellent, excellent. Thank you. Yeah, no, this film is just like wow because you packed a lot in 5 minutes. Uh,
Yeah. I no, I just really wanted to sort of explore just explore different aspects of like depression and how like basic things just become this monumental task. Um and so yeah, that's what we did.
Yeah, yeah, no, the metaphors in it are beautiful. It feels so realistic, you
Mhm.
know, the attacks that happen in the mind, the
Mhm.
the self-talk in somebody that's going through depression, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have a background in psychology or how did the story come to you?
Nope, just a lot of family with a lot of different issues. So it was something I was pretty familiar with, and just sort of it was just sort of one of the ways I would describe like being depressed. It feels like when you're trying to do something, it feels like you're trying to claw your way out of this pit, or just like climb up this sheer face of a wall, and to do the most basic thing, like get up in the morning or get dressed or walk out the door. So
Yeah,
yeah.
no, again, very well done. I love the cinematography.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, do you want to walk us through the making of the film? How did you choose your team?
Honestly, the beginning this film started out as like a project in grad school. So there were four of us that were grouped together to do like um, to do directing, cinematography, producing, and then like NAC. Because originally the film it was shot. We shot it without sound. So we got together. I wrote the scripts, and at first I was trying to write something and I was like, because I'm in New York City, I'm like, I could do something here. But the producer I was working with, she's like, but is that what you want to do? I'm like, no. So she's like, write what you want to do and then we'll figure out how to do it. So I did, and we went and scouted a couple places on Long Island, but I knew the place that we ended up using, which is all the way upstate on one of the Great Lakes. So we took 2 days and we drove up there and we shot it. We slept at my parents' house and then came back down and shot the actual pit part, and like a stage just with a spotlight and some marbles and nothing else. And yeah.
Wow,
Mhm.
wow. Yeah, no, it shows what teamwork and it's interesting you had that conversation with your producer. I think people could learn from that, like really knowing, to listen and to
Mhm.
feel what the other person really wants to get out of a project, I think is something,
Mhm.
that's not really discussed too much. Um, yeah, just like I guess like how did you build that kind of communication between you two? Um,
I don't. Honestly, that was just her. That's just who she is. So
uh,
I was like, I kind of want to do. I would love to do something like this, but I think it would be more realistic to do this other thing. She's like, but is that what you want to do? That was just what she asked, and then because she I think is also very much like when I'm working on other people's stuff. I as a producer, because I do both. I tend to be like, well, tell me what you want, and then we'll figure out how to do it. Um, when I'm working on my own stuff, I know the limitations. I'm like, well, maybe we don't have to. But she is also very much someone who is like, no, tell me what you want, and then we'll figure out how to get the closest approximation to that. So
Beautiful. So, as a producer, what kind of projects do you like to do? What have you done? Like, what? Yeah, give us a little background on that.
no, I've done a lot of short films. I've done some theater. Also, at the moment, I'm trying to work on a first feature. But I like I like good stories. I like stories that move people. I like stories that still have like a sense of wonder in their surroundings, like that kind of like, if you have a little kid that's still sort of looking at the world and has no preconceived notions of it, just like everything is amazing still. I love stories that sort of look at the world like everything is still new and interesting and exciting. um yeah.
Wow. Wow. So you said you're working on your first feature. Do you want to give any details on what that's about? Um,
It follows a young woman named Dee, whose life goal is to be the special effects creature designer for the TV show Doctor Who. And it sort of follows her through that like point in your 20s when you're trying to figure out what kind of adult you want to be and how you're going to let the world like see you and impinge on who you actually are. So it's good. It's a fun film about, learning how to trust yourself.
wow.
Mhm.
Wow. You seem to have such a centered focus. That's great. Yeah. So you went to school for film. You were saying that's how you came across this group. Where did you go to
Mhm.
school? How did you find the experience?
So I went to grad school at Brooklyn College. And it was good. We had a bunch of people. It was when I started, we were the first class. It was a brand new program. So we were the very first class.
Wow.
So it was a lot of, people were still like trying to find, like the program was still trying to figure out what it was and what it wanted to be, but it was great. Like, we got to do all kinds of stuff. Like I was I was on there were different tracks in grad school, so I was on the producing track. So I produced like I think seven short films in like 3 years. So it was good. It was a really
Wow.
good learning experience. Um, yeah,
Seems like it.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And do you like say have like a preference like I'd rather produce, I'd rather direct, you like both equally like
I like both. I sort of like the idea of being able to direct stories that mean something particular to me that I have a relationship with that I think are important. But then being able to produce stories that I think are important but are not necessarily mine to tell.
mm,
So I like that idea of doing stuff.
interesting. Interesting. And you mentioned theater as well. What drew you to that? Was that like I know for a lot of people in film theater's kind of their starting point. Is that
Mhm.
how it was for you as well?
Yep. My undergrad degree is in theater. Both of my parents did theater. So
Ah,
I worked in theater for about 7 or 8 years before I started going back to grad school.
oh wow, excellent. Excellent. Um, because I really like the film. So was your the actress in the film? Was she also one of the four people in this group? And
No,
just
no, she's a friend of mine. I've known her for 15 years at this point.
wow,
She was in
yeah,
one of the first theater pieces I directed in New York, and we've done films together, we've done web series together, we've done theater together. So I was like, this is the person for this film.
wow, yeah, no, she was great. No, totally believable. No, it's like I said, for 5 minutes, it's overwhelming how
Mm-hmm.
much you got in there, the scope of somebody suffering, through depression. I wonder, like, what kind of films do you like? Like, who do you admire? Maybe some directors you admire, or
I know
what type of stories?
I tend to like historical dramas, and I like musicals. I like kids films.
Mhm.
um, so yeah, I like a lot of happily ever afters. I suppose Spielberg would probably be a director if I had to pick one. But in general, I like stories. I like, you know, stories that make you think and make you feel and make you question and wonder about life.
What about, like, it seems like it's interesting you said even your parents were in theater. You seem so grounded, like you hear so many stories like oh child actors, or growing up in an atmosphere. You seem the opposite of that. So like I'd love to know more of like what it was like growing up in the theater, or
Well,
in the limelight of the theater. Um
I mean, both my parents, like my dad was a technical director, so what he did was like you get designs from a set designer, and then he'd figure out how to build them. And my mom had, I mean, she was a stay-at-home mom by the time I came along, but she had been like a lighting designer and a stage manager and done wardrobe. So it was just a lot of, when we had shows at school as kids, we'd have really great costumes and some. But it wasn't, it wasn't there. There was no like weird, like, you know, theater nest to stuff. But yeah, it was good. There
Wow.
were my parents did make it a point though of making sure like we had classes in like music and art and like dance and all that kind of things as like extracurricular stuff because they're like it's important. You will use it at some point, and I have in fact used it many times. So,
Yeah, like so it seems though, like so you never thought of like, oh, I'll go do something else because it seems like it was kind of you were always exposed to.
not yeah, I never really thought about doing anything else. I mean, I vaguely for a while was like, maybe I'll be an architect or maybe I'll go do historic preservation. But I like those things for the same reason I like theater or film, where it's like for, architecture, it's like I like designing things and making things look cool. And for, historic preservation, I like the idea of like a Williamsburg, Virginia, or a Plymouth plantation where you're like, let's relive this world. And like, so I'm like, it's just theater. It's just a different kind of theater.
Wow. Well, so I wonder because it seems like you've come across something, and again, I have to point this out, just because it really stands out to me, of that communication that you found with this group on this project. How can you implement that going forward yourself? And what advice would you give to others to kind of implement that? Just because, like, I know for me personally, I think like so many things could happen once people just learn have that positive communication, right?
Yeah, yes. I mean, I think the biggest issues you run into on any project, large or small, are communication issues. And it's important to be like, okay, I need this. Did you understand that I need that? And like making sure that everyone is on the same page, that you have like that you've been able to communicate things verbally and visually, and that you have agreed to the same thing. And just checking in with people and making sure that like, okay, we said this, is this actually okay, are you good with this, are you comfortable, can like making sure you're creating an environment that supports people and lets them feel that they are able to communicate their needs, because I do think that's also a big part of it.
Yeah, no, well said. Yeah, no, that's why I'm like I'm still focusing on that because yeah, it's such a great enlightenment. So many things are like, can fall apart for no reason, just bickering or yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, no. I wonder what reactions have you gotten to the film so far? Um
I don't. Most people, I don't know. Actually, a lot of it has just been, yeah, I get this, I understand it. It resonates, and yeah, I mean, some people have been like, no, we don't get it, and I'm like, well, good for you. That means you don't have this issue, and I fully am happy for you that you don't. But yeah,
Yeah. Have you shown it? I wonder, you had said like family members you've known have
Mhm.
gone through. Have you shown it to them?
I don't actually think I have. I should mostly to like a bunch of my um friends and friends that have like similar issues, and they're like, yep, that makes total sense. But yeah, no, I don't actually think I've shown it to my family.
I'd be curious to know. You'll have to check back with us and let us know. Yeah. What's
Yeah.
your writing process like?
Um, well, it waffles back and forth. Most of it's like there's an idea that's like pinging around inside my head that has no, like, it connects to absolutely nothing. It's just sort of a visual or a random phrase or something. And I'm like, that would make a cool something. And eventually enough of those are rumbling around that they work together. And you're like, oh, I should probably write that down. And then it depends. If it's a short film, it's usually easier for me to write because sometimes I'll just like sit down and just do it. Um, if it's longer, if it's a feature, that's been an interesting learning curve. Like on the ones I've worked on, just like trying to write something out and then trying to trying to write. Some days you just have to write anything, and just sit and do something because something is better than nothing, and you can always go back and rewrite it later. But it's been interesting to also trying to like when you have other people read it and give you feedback, trying to walk the line of what is good feedback, useful feedback, and what is someone's like opinion, and what is the film you're trying to make, and what is what your vision is that, and what is what the other person wants your vision to be versus what they think is what is actually good, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Because it's hard getting feedback on any type of art, right? I think because it's either like criticism that the person might be giving out of, for lack of a better term, envy of not being able to do anything themselves,
Mm-hmm.
or just simply you caught them on the wrong day,
Mm-hmm.
or is it an actual, blind spot in us and what we're creating, and they just happen to see it,
Mm-hmm.
first type thing. So yeah, no, it's really right because it's everything is subjective.
Yeah. It was.
Depending on who you talk to, even in reality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, yeah, no, that's I wonder, you've made other films as well as The Pit. What has been something, an instance that really stood out to you, just something memorable while you were shooting, or, in making these films, just something that just kind of is emblazoned upon your memory?
Silly thing, but the first short I made, I put it, I was producing it and directing it and writing, doing a lot of things, but I pulled together all these people. We had gone, we were driving to this location in Pennsylvania. We were staying the night. We only shot it over one weekend, but the first night, it was just, it was long. It was hard. It's a film. It takes a lot of work. The first night we went to dump the footage onto the computer and we couldn't get it to work. And we couldn't get anything, the card wouldn't read. We're like, did we not get anything the entire day? And I just remember sitting there on the floor, having had 2 hours of sleep the night before and not a lot the rest of the week, having spent all the money in my savings account, just sitting there watching the film, the footage not happen, and sitting on the floor thinking, well, the next time I do this, I'll have to remember. And then at some point I clicking, oh, I must really want to do this if I'm at this point in life, and then being like, the next time I'll remember this thing. So
Yeah,
that just
yeah.
a memory that's very strong for me. But
And were you able to recover it, or was it
we did.
gone?
There was a problem with the card reader. We got a new card reader. We got to Best Buy right before it closed. We got a new card reader. Everything was fine.
Thank
But
God.
yeah, but just those 10 minutes of it's not working, it's not working, it's not working. It just,
Yeah.
yeah. And just being able to be like, well, we learned something, we'll move on. So,
Yeah. No, I think, yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot to take in because, like you said, yeah, people have to be very certain that they want to take this path in life, right? Because these
mhm.
things
They
do
happen. Yeah.
happen.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, like I said, this was really, really powerful. I truly, I was like, wow, like everything about this film, the acting, the cinematography, just, yeah, beautiful. Let me, storyboarding. Can we talk about that for a second?
Sure.
Um, what's your process like there, and communicating with your cinematographer?
I mean, I like it depends on what the film is. For this one, I storyboarded the crap out of it. Like it was every little thing. Honestly, we didn't end up using a bunch of it because when you edited it, it's flowed together better without some of that stuff. But I storyboarded a lot. On other things I've done, it's just talking through it more and making more of a shot list. But I like I don't know, with cinematographers, I love Pinterest. I like having all kinds of images and moods and being like, okay, well, I'll remember this one random thing that like I remember an example I used for someone once was like, so I want this shot to follow this ball, kind of like there's a weird little snippet of a scene in 101 Dalmatians, like the animated version that was like, I want this like this, and just being able to talk to someone, like talk to them, but also have like all the visuals and the colors and everything else, and just saying, here's everything, better.
Here, I'm
Here's everything
opening
I'm
my
thinking, make
mind
it good. Yeah,
and showing it to you.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
What was so? Did you edit it as well, this film, or did you sit with somebody and?
I did an edit of this film, and then I gave it to an editor afterwards, and I'm like, here's what I've done, make it better.
Yeah, no, that's important for people to remember too. I think, like, like it's A, could be more economical.
Mm-hmm.
B, too, it's like already mostly what you want and you're just passing it off to enhance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I guess like you made like the first assembly and then
Mm-hmm.
just that's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, yeah, and it's yeah, because that's what they say, right? It could a film could be
Mm-hmm.
made or lost in the editing room, right? So,
Yes.
yeah,
Very true.
yeah, yeah. Wow. And was this editor in the original four group, or did you look for him or her elsewhere?
No, so I had done this project, like I'd done it early on in grad school, and then I finished grad school. I finished grad school, and I was like, but I really like this film. I want to like because I didn't have the tools, like some of the special effects in the film. Um, I had tried to do them myself while I was in school, and they looked awful. So after I was done, I was like, no, I want to do this right. I put all this work into shooting and I want to do post correctly. Um, so I got a friend of mine who we had been in grad school together, but he wasn't in that group. He did the edit for it, and then I hired someone who did the like little Marvel special effects, and then I got someone else I had been in school with, and I was like, "Hi, would you like to compose for this? Because I think you'd be really good at that." And so, yeah, they all came together and did that.
Wow. So this project was really then years in the making, I guess you could say, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
1 or 2 years, or
Yeah, it was a couple that we did. It was about a month in terms of like prep and then shooting and that, and then I did a couple over the course of a couple months. I did like the first round of like edit and sound and special effects, and then it sat for a couple years, and then I came back to it, and it was about a year of like doing post on it because everybody's got day jobs and has no time for things. So it was we do the edit for a while and then wait for the special effects to happen and then put them back in and then go back and send it to sound, and that took probably a year, just on and off, with everybody's schedule.
I just think this is such a great point that you're bringing up. It kind of ties back to if you love it, you know, you have to be, yeah, because people don't realize like 5 minutes, and look at all the devotion,
Mhm.
and hands that went into it. It's really, really a lot,
Yeah,
and a testament to your endurance and your dedication. Yeah,
thank you.
yeah, yeah. No, you're welcome. No, again, thank you. It's really well done, really powerful piece, really well done. And yeah, like you can see the painstaking detail and just the emotion that pops off into it. Yeah, No,
It
wonderful.
was a good group of people to work with.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I really, really appreciate you. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Sword fight, king of the hill. Fireflies and jars divine, wonder bars and dungaree. Clumsy fingers chase the tadpoles in the muddy pond.